Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. My name is Maral, therapist counsellor, and I do some channeling sometimes as well. Today I want to explore this topic of what therapy really is, and I really want to go into the truth of what therapy really is. So we know that therapy is, a way to seek help, to get some, advice is not the right word, but some guide. And that's all true. We can help bring a lot of unconscious patterns to the surface that we need to see. And that's all true as well, and the healing that goes with that. But there are other parts that I want to cover that maybe we haven't quite realized, or some people maybe have, but I want to kind of put that out there in terms of what true therapy really is, in terms of what's going on underneath that as well, and maybe some other parts too. So as always, I have my guides here. I've got my Arcturian star family here. I've got my Arcturian friends as guides, and they're going to help me through this session. Yes, in therapy, what happens, a part of therapy is that the unconscious patterns that we all live our lives through comes up, it comes to the surface. And in therapy, we're basically, facing ourselves, right? That's what we really are doing, the things that we have to see that we have not been willing to see. So therapy is really important. It's really important. And, I'm being told that it's important for everyone. Everyone accessing therapy is really important. And therapy in the future will get even bigger. It's going to become almost the norm. Everyone's going to be accessing therapy because they're going to realize it's really needed, because there are things that we do all the time that we're just not noticing, right? So it's wonderful, the things that therapy brings. And of course, part of therapy, as I was saying before, is, as a therapist, you're there to help guide the sessions, to help realize what, is working within the client more, and where that needs to go more for the client, right? So there are all these parts that therapy works. However, there are other parts that maybe we're not aware of that it's important to kind of understand. So firstly, I want to say that some people, as I think people do sometimes when it comes to doctors or any other, politicians or any other person that we believe, knows better than us, or I think that what I'm getting is more that it's been twisted to believe that that person is better than us. This is how our mind might be twisting it in that way. When it comes to therapy, and when it comes to, I want to say anything full stop, right? There is no hierarchical system, okay? There is no hierarchy. I am no better than any of my clients. I'm no better than anyone else. And no one is better than me, and the other way around, right? We are all the same. This is what I'm trying to say. So, we have to understand that it's more when it comes to therapy, and we are talking specifically about therapy here, it's an exchange, but they're saying it's in everything, right? It is in everything, any relationship, anything. In therapy, there is an exchange going on. So when the client comes in, they have to be open to it. And the therapist is also being open. The therapist is bringing themselves in quite a vulnerable situation, which means the therapist has to be able to hold that space for the client too, which also means what's really important, which is the work that, I've been doing. And I know there are some therapists out there, they're saying not many, but some therapists that have to do the same, which is I have to do my inner work. I have to go through my own personal journey. I have to go through all the squeezes, the emotional the abuses of everything that I've gone through, right? That other people also have gone through, of course, but the things that I've had to work on, the things that I've had to see in myself, the inner work that I've had to do emotionally to be able to transmit what I need to in order to hold more of an emotional space of reliance for myself and therefore for my clients, right? That's how it works. And I have mentioned this in another video as well, but it's very, very important. Seeing a therapist that has not done the inner work, you'll be able to tell. They're saying, look, you'll be able to feel it. It will be very superficial. It won't be profound. You won't get much out of it because they haven't done the inner work. So it's really important that whatever therapist you see, that you look for, that they have done the inner work and are still continuing to do the inner work. So that's one part of it. It is an exchange in therapy. So the client has to be open, the therapist open. We both are open to be vulnerable in that space and holding this space. And as a therapist, if I've done my work, which I have, then I have to be able to hold that space emotionally for the client. So the client feels comfortable and safe enough to be able to open up, because vulnerability is very key. Unless we go into that softness and that vulnerability, which is, by the way, massive strength, right? That's what it is. Then we can't really go to the roots of the problem. And one of the things that I provide in my own specific therapy that I do with my clients, and my clients all say the same thing about my therapy approach, which is we go to the roots of the problem. And I will say we, because it's a joint. They're saying, yes, it's joint, right? This is what I mean. It's an exchange that's happening. It's both of us doing it. But we go straight to the roots of the problem every single time. And that's why a lot of my clients, they don't stay with me for too long, because they have exactly what they need after a few sessions. And maybe they come back afterwards, but sometimes they don't. Many of them don't, right? And after a few sessions, they say to me, oh my gosh, I've never had this kind of therapy before. I've actually worked through what I need to work through, and they feel like they don't need to come back because they have enough. And also in my own in the therapy that I do provide as well, there's light codes being exchanged, transferred, and the light codes help the client feel more kind of fulfilled within themselves to be able to continue on their own path as well. So there's lots of things, and the energetic field that I provide of the higher vibration, that also helps with the healing that is happening in the sessions too. So that's one part of it as well. Now, the other part is that we really have to understand is that apart from, again, the healing that happens through therapy, and every therapist has a different approach, and my approach is quantum healing, because in quantum healing we are what we're doing is we're focusing on the everything, because we are everything. And that's why I was drawn to this. Like after my awakening, it all went there, and I realized why, because it is a very powerful way of healing. But as they're saying, there are other ways of healing. Oh, that's really interesting. There are other in the future, there are going to be other forms of healing that's going to be very similar to quantum, but they're going to take a different approach, and some maybe even really putting it out there with something even bigger. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. So obviously everyone does things differently. And what happens is that you are drawn to what you're drawn to because you know intuitively what you need to, on a soul level, want to work on. So you are drawn to certain people, certain therapists, because you know what needs to work for you, right? That's how it works. It's all very energy, exchange energy related kind of work, a related kind of way of working towards your life to get what you need for yourself and for your own healing, right? It's all very energy based, as everything is energy. But the point that I really want to get to here is the last point here, is that what we need to realize is that as it's an exchange, what's also happening is that we are learning from each other. So in this therapy, and they're saying it's beautiful, it is beautiful. So in this therapy approach, this even standard therapists, right? I mean, what I do is not standard, but even standard therapy, whatever therapy it is, what's happening is that we are both learning from each other. That's why the exchange is there as well, because in that exchange, I'm learning from the client, they're learning from me, and what we are both ultimately learning, and especially me, because this is why part of why I'm doing this work is because I'm learning about how humans work, why we are here as human, why I'm here as human. So I'm learning about myself, and I'm learning in a general sense how a human works and what a human actually is, right? And this is why it's important to understand that it's far more than the type of therapy that we might understand it to be. There's an exchange going on. There's constant learning going on, a learning that I am taking in, a learning that the client is taking in, and a learning of what is actually true even outside of us, right? What's actually true? What is the truth of the truth, right? The fact that we are learning about what a human is, why we are here, and why we're doing this. And this is particularly important for me because of the work that I do. So there's constant learning going on. It's an exchange that's going on. It's not just what we might perceive as therapy to be. Yes, it's here to help. Yes, that's what therapy is. And it is so helpful. And it is recommended to always, have therapy. And I've had therapy myself. And I know what it's like on the other side. And it is profound, right? Because again, it's helping us see what we need to see and moving us through the journey. The other part of it, just on this last point, is that the kind of, and I'm very intentional about this, and they're saying, one of the things that I do bring is this confidence. I have this ability to bring this confidence for the client so they can carry on their life. And the way I kind of want to put that in my own words is that I'm very careful about, I'm very focused on the client trusting themselves and learning to trust themselves, and to trust their intuitions for their own empowerment. It's very important that in life we are doing what we need to do for ourselves and not being told what to do, because this is literally where we've been for so long, is this in this disempowered state. So in my therapy work that I do, but it's very important for my clients to learn to trust themselves, maybe sometimes very much for the first time in their lives, right? But when you trust yourself, then you are practicing empowerment. And that means you can carry on, maybe not seeing a therapist, right, for a while, maybe a long time, maybe even for the rest of your life, because you are now learning how to trust yourself, and you are learning now to step into that trust and be in that empowerment, and finally basically go into the healing journey, even for yourself, even after therapy.